Peace. This is Waz for Waz Words Media, back at y'all for another round. And fight fans, yet another disappointing announcement by Canelo Alvarez in terms of who he's fighting next, as we got the news late last week that he is going to be taking on Edgar Berlanga. Now, Edgar Berlanga, how many championship fights has Edgar Berlanga been in? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is zero. None. Edgar Berlanga has never been in a championship fight in his career. And that, my friends, is the reason why Canelo Alvarez is selecting Edgar Berlanga. He's selecting him because he's banking on the fact that Berlanga is inexperienced, especially like in a big stage fight like this. This is why I'm against this fight. I mean, if Berlanga, let's say if Berlanga, a great fight for Berlanga. Berlanga is entertaining if you put him on somebody his level. You get Berlanga versus Jaime Munguia. You want to sell me Puerto Rico versus Mexico? That's the fight. Berlanga, Munguia. They're both on the same level. They were both on the come up around the same time. That's the fight. You want to present Puerto Rico versus Mexico because it's the biggest rivalry in boxing. So you want to give that presentation, that's the fight you give us. Not this. This is a super inexperienced fighter. Zero championship fights against Canelo Alvarez, who had 24 championship fights. Come on, man. This is why my very first video on my page was exposing Canelo Alvarez for the media-made sensation he is. He is not an all-time great. He's not a great fighter. Listen, he's a good fighter. Canelo Alvarez has skill. Don't get me wrong, Canelo has skill. And his skill level increased tremendously when he went through, not 12 rounds, through 12 grades of school. And he graduated that night. He fought Floyd Mayweather. He got a lot better. You saw his defense got better, head movement got better, pivoting. He's gotten a lot better since that Floyd fight. He's a good fighter. But the one thing he lacks is not boxing ability. It's this. He has no heart. He's scared. He's been running from the best people in his division his whole career. Go back to his early days when he first started at 154. When him, the Charlo brothers, Demetrius Andrade were all the same size. Big thing, because some of y'all gonna say, oh, but he fought Charlo. He fought Charlo that was still at 154, the division that Canelo started in, and Canelo has gone up like 4 divisions since then. So he avoided the Charlos and Andrade when he was in their same weight class. Never fought them. Then, one of the bigger Charlo moves up to middleweight. Canelo is in middleweight. Charlo becomes his mandatory. The WBC told Canelo, you have to fight Charlo next or give up the belt. Canelo, after saying that his mission statement was to be the first Mexican to be undisputed champion, collect all the belts at middleweight, what did he do? When Charlo became his mandatory, he gave the belt away. He said, no, I don't want it then. If I gotta fight him, I don't want it. He gave the belt up. This is who Canelo Alvarez is. Don't let the old media fool you. This is who Canelo Alvarez is. He's always ran away from the good fight. He'll give you one good fight every 4 years. It's like a presidential election. He's gonna give you one good fight every 4 years. He gave you Golovkin. After Golovkin chased him for like 2-3 years, finally gave you the Golovkin fight. Then he tried to cheat in the second one because they don't want you to remember that. So I constantly tell you, yes, he got caught with a substance called clenbuterol. He cheated for the second fight. Then you saw he performed way better the second fight. So now, after the second fight, and some thought Golovkin won, he won in controversial fashion. So if the first one was a draw, you won in controversy. The second one Why don't you do the third one right away? No, he made Golovkin wait 4 years till Golovkin was old. And he didn't even want to fight Golovkin. He was back to a corner because he wanted to fight another inexperienced fighter called Makabu. He wanted to fight him where people, the promoters were like, Maka, who? Nah, we not paying you for that. You crazy? No network. He went to every network to see if they would pay him for the Makabu fight. They all said no. And this is what needs to happen after this Berlanga fight. After this Berlanga fight, all the networks need to once again tell him, Canelo, we're not going to pay you unless you give us a pay-per-view caliber fight. Unless you fight David Benavidez or David Morrell, the big Cuban fighter that, you know, he got size, he got boxing ability, moves around the ring well, punches good footwork. You fight David Morrell. You fight David Benavidez. You give us a quality fight. Give Dimitri Bivol his rematch. Or not his rematch, your rematch. Because he lost to Bivol and never avenged that loss. He wants us to forget about it, just like Canelo fans. So, you fight one of these guys. Or else we're not paying you. We're not paying you. We're not paying you what you think you deserve for your next fight. So that's what needs to happen. Because Berlanga is inexperienced, man. It's inexperienced, and he knows what he's doing. He's banking on Berlanga's inexperience. And plus, the two opponents that you could always know Canelo's going to fight is going to be either a smaller opponent. If it's a boxer, it's a smaller opponent who he could overwhelm with his size. Or if it's a big opponent, it has to be a flat-footed opponent, i.e. Jaime Munguia, Ryder, and now Berlanga. A fighter that's just going to stay in the pocket, is not going to move around, not going to box, not going to move his head. It's just going to be right there in the pocket throwing punches. Tailor-made for Canelo. So yeah, another lackluster decision. I'm not excited for this one at all. Like Oscar De La Hoya said, the fight that nobody asked you for. Unbelievable. Well, actually, in the case of Canelo, very much believable. I'm Waz for Waz Words Media. Peace.